The RPG genre is kind of a weird one for me. Some of them I love, but man, some I just don't. I think my main problem with a lot of them is the runtime. I just don't think that so many of them need to be a 70-hour grind fest. There's something I look into and want to try, like Persona 5, but I see that runtime and I think, I'll get bored of it at some point. Luckily, Super Mario RPG knows this. It only took me about 13 hours or so to beat, and it was pretty well paced the entire time. The combat is simple but fun, turn-based action with quick time events. If your timing is on point, you can negate all damage from your opponents. When attacking, you can also do more damage by either hitting the A button at the right time, or by doing a specific task, like spin the left stick for example. There are so many enemies in the game, and many of them come with their own weaknesses, resistances, and their own attacks. There are 5 playable characters, and they all have their own standard attacks, special attacks, and stats. Mario will attack with his jumping, fireballs, and trusty hammer. Bowser will use his Mecha Koopas, chain chomps, and poison gas. Peach is more of a support role. She can cure status, heal the group, revive teammates, and has a powerful bomb attack. So these are the Mario characters, but 2 original characters join the fray. Mallow is a cloud-like creature that uses elements such as ice and electricity and can use his symbols for his standard attack. Gino is a little doll that came to life to help Mario on his quest. His hands are literal cannons and he can use them to shoot enemies. Overall, I like this lineup of characters. They all feel genuinely different from one another and are good to use. For example, Mallow is a great character for taking out enemies and have low special defenses, compared to Bowser, who is a better physical attacker. Special attacks will cost FP, which the player has a finite amount of. These are the more powerful attacks, like Mallow's Star Rain costs 14 power points to use. It adds fun resource management to the game. It makes the player think about the best time to use these attacks, cause of course, if your FP hits 0, you can't use these attacks, only the basic ones. Although you could just buy a shitload of items. The economy in this game is just completely broken, I swear. On that note, I love how the basic attacks change on what equipment the player has on. My favorite one is the one where Bowser throws Mario. If Mario is knocked out or it's a status issue, Bowser will pull out a mini Mario toy and throw it. That's just awesome. Mallow can punch or use his symbols. Bowser can use his chain chomps or use his drill hand. Peach can use a war fan or give the enemies a big bitch slap. It adds a lot of charm and it even changes the timing of the action commands. I just love that. After a character gets enough experience, they can level up. Every few levels each character will learn a new special move. Their stats will go up and the player can pick which stats will go up even higher. You also get to watch all the characters dance on this little screen. Isn't it cute? The combat in general, it's definitely on the easier side, but I'd argue it's still enjoyable. I'd be lying though if I said that most combat encounters, they will end in a single turn if you can time your commands well. You also get to see the enemies on the map, which is nice. No random encounters here. However, it should also be noted that some attacks cannot be blocked. Those could be huge trouble if you're not expecting them. Also, screw those damn enemies that turn you into a scarecrow or a mushroom or something. It's such a pain in the ass. If a teammate is down or affected with a condition, they can be swapped out and it doesn't take a turn. I guess it adds to the easiness, but it's also kinda nice to be honest. Each character has 3 equipment slots. One of them is an attack slot, one of them is a clothing slot, and the last one is a miscellaneous slot. These will adjust the character's stats and what weapon they attack with. The miscellaneous slot has some interesting applications. One will lower FP consumption, another one will double the XP earned, another one will protect the character from status conditions. Like I said, there's some neat applications here. The story is nice, short, and to the point. It's a goofy, low-stakes story with memorable characters like Booster. The game got a genuine laugh out of me a couple of times. Mallow eventually finding his parents, that was a cute moment. Bowser joining Mario to help him on his quest to get the castle back, that just shocked me back in the day. I mean, Mario joining forces with Bowser, that doesn't happen often. The game is just chock full of funny little moments, and I love that. It's refreshing to have a game of this scope after finally beating Baldur's Gate 3. Alrighty, enough positives, what about some criticisms? While I love how they kept the original feel of the game, this extends to the platforming, which I am less positive about. And listen, I've been playing 3D platformers since the N64 days, so I'm used to a little bit of jank. But this perspective, it just is not good for these sections. I missed plenty of jumps because it can be hard to tell where Mario or the platform is mid-jump. There are only a few sections like this that annoyed me, but I thought it was worth the mention. Some bosses or enemies can feel straight up cheap. I know I said the game can be too easy, but spamming attacks that hit every single party member, does decent damage, and puts them to sleep over and over again, it's honestly just such a pain in the ass. You just sit there when they pummel you. I know you can argue that you need to equip the right equipment to block this from happening, but how the hell is a newcomer going to know that, especially the first time? The mini-games are kinda hit and miss for me. In theory, these are a nice way to break up the pacing and adds a bit of variety to the game. On the flip side though, if I don't like the mini-games that much, it kinda misses the point. Like I remember the minecart one going on and on and on. At least the Yoshi and Gooba stomping ones were okay. Most of what I said so far can apply to the SNES version too. What was added for the remake though? First off, the updated graphics are pretty nice. I like the style of it on the Super Nintendo, but seeing it updated for a new generation, I think it's pretty cool. Some of those cave sections look glorious. The music's been updated too, although I think I prefer the original soundtrack to be honest. At least you can unlock the track list for both the original game and this one. Triple attacks are added. The neat thing about these is how they change depending on what the current party is. They all come with a nice animation and they all have different effects. You can see a small preview of what what triple attack will be used in the party menu. Breezy mode is added, which makes enemies weaker, gives the player more XP, and they'll be able to hold more items. It's a nice way for the younger crowd to enjoy the game, but this game is easy as hell already, so I just played on normal. I think a hard mode would have been neat. A big overlooked feature is fast traveling. While moving all over the map is kinda cute, this is a huge lifesaver. The biggest, and in my opinion best change, there's an actual post-game now. The original game simply ended once Mario beat Smithy. In the remake, Mario will be sleeping and Toad will tell him that he defeated Smithy in his dreams. So now what? Well, you could challenge all the bosses again, and they don't mess around. Remember when I said the game was too easy? That idea goes out the goddamn window, and I'm not ashamed to admit that I died a couple of times fighting these guys. These bosses will come decked out with enhanced stats, brand new abilities, and some of these will even require light puzzle solving. For example, Booster and the Cake can use one-hit KO moves to wipe out your entire party. Brutal, huh? Well, you can stop this by interrupting Booster when he's working on his train for the former, or by stopping the torch by lighting the candles for the latter. Punchinello is one that took me a few tries. His defense is just unrealistically high, so you're not going to do much damage to him. What you have to do is use perfect action commands on the Bob-Ombs to turn them around. When they are facing him, they'll charge at him, doing 80 damage or so. Mario will have to 1v1 Johnny, and sorry to throw a rant in here, but the Joy-Cons suck ass. They are the worst first-party controllers ever. They have serious input delay, it's insane. I missed a few action commands, but then I went to defeat him in handheld mode, and I beat him first try. God damn, I hate the Joy-Con so much. It all ends with a rematch against Culex. The first time, that was a pretty hard fight. But now he is rendered in 3D, comes with 9,999 health, and all the crystals are even more annoying. After finally defeating him, the game will tell you how many rounds it took to defeat him. Mine was 37. This is the only boss that can be rematched over and over again. And I guess Smithy, but he wasn't giving a stat boost or a rematch or anything. Supposedly there's a new cutscene after you defeat him again, but the changes are subtle and I don't really want to do it. The post-game took me roughly 2 hours or so, but honestly, I wasn't expecting one at all. Sure, it would have been nice to have the option to fight these guys endlessly. It also would have been nice if Smithy got a proper rematch too, but I'm actually pretty happy with what we got. I never expected this game to get remade anyway, so extra content on top of that? Pretty nice in my book. If one is interested, the Mario Wiki has a page on the Mario RPG Remake which lists all the differences. It's much more than I imagined, but a lot of it's like different text and other minor things you probably wouldn't really notice. If you have the original, I'd probably just stick with that to be honest. If you're new to the game, you're looking for a light, entry-level RPG with a Mario setting, then honestly, that $60 price tag, it ain't too bad. I just don't think that there's quite enough here to upgrade if you have access to the original, though. So, that's Super Mario RPG. I get why this game's beloved. I really liked it when I first discovered it on Wii U through the Virtual Console service, and I really like it now. Now new generation can see this weird anomaly of a game. Sure, I don't think it's an all-time great or anything like that, but I'd still give it a solid 6 out of 7. The battling is fun, the OST just slaps, the characters are funny, the setting is constantly changing and beautiful, and the most important thing, they kept the Easter egg about Peach's vibrator. At least that's what I think it is.